Buenas tardes, bienvenidos a Que Pasa Mujer. Welcome to Que Pasa Mujer. We're here every Sunday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Estamos aquí todos los domingos a las 4 de la tarde. Ya llevamos como 3 años, vamos a cumplir 3 años haciendo este show. Entonces estamos muy contentos que continuamos a tener este programa para darles información. We're extremely excited every Sunday. We've been here for about 3 years. And we're glad that we're still able to be here to be able to have the show with you guys, to always share some new information with you all. Today we have a special guest, a dear friend of mine that I'll tell you guys the story of how long we've known each other. But Mark, you can go ahead and bring Charles on, a dear friend of mine, Charles Cheek from Kingdom United Fellowship, the Marketplace. Welcome, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Good. So we always start off the show by you telling us something amazing that happened to you this week.
Amazing to happen. Well, I saw you 5 days a week, so
Yes. Oh, you said the right
that
answer.
was a miracle in itself. But something
That was
amazing.
exactly the answer I was waiting for, Charles.
Okay, well, good. We can proceed on from there.
I love it. So Charles, tell us a little bit about of course, Charles does a lot of things for the community, and I think we've been collaborating for about 2 or 3 years now. And so I know everything that you've done. I think a lot of the things that you've done. But I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the marketplace. What is the marketplace? Where is it located? Why is it called the marketplace?
Yeah, that's a lot to do. I guess since we're going to be on the air for 3 hours, I can talk about all that that you
That's
asked.
right.
Okay. Well, the marketplace is located in the Buckrow area of the city. It was established about 2.5 years ago, based on the premise that we wanted to do something to engage the community more and bring resources to them so they didn't have to travel so much. And we wanted those resources to be ones that the community wanted and not something that we just put there and hope they come and utilize it. So one of the things we did, we surveyed the community before we even started and found out what their needs are and what were the top priorities in their list and what were some of the problems they were engaged in, they were finding in their community in Buckrow and the Phoebus area and other communities nearby. So based on that feedback and those conversations, we reached out to some folks like yourself and said, here's a need. Come alongside with us and have a presence here in the marketplace. The marketplace is a concept, really a biblical, goes back to the biblical times with Jesus, where people would go and gather and exchange goods, ideas, help each other, and so forth and so on. So that's the basis for it. That's why we came up with the name, the marketplace, where everybody could come together and take advantage of opportunities, the goods, the services, whatever is needed. And so it became, it grew. I mean, as you know, and we started off with about 6 or 7 different folks, and we quickly found out that there was more to be done in the community and with more needs, and we moved over to another building. We're expanding to another building. What we're doing is basically letting the community drive the needs, drive the services, and then we allow for the freedom of those who are participating in the marketplace to those agencies and others to develop programs as they see. And just like yourself, I mean, every other week you're thinking of something else, but fortunately, that you can do it other places too, and not just there at the marketplace. So the idea is at some point in time is that the community will basically come in and say, okay, we have a need for this for us. We want to start this and we want to run this particular thing. And that will create the ecosystem that will develop so that we will not have to worry about always infusing something in, because the community will drive it and they'll carry it along. Because I'm an individual who hates government to a point. I don't believe the government should be driving the community. The community should be determining what its needs are. Government should be walking beside and supporting uh, wherever it's need be, but not putting up those roadblocks. So a lot of my time is spent knocking down doors or not paying attention to the doors are there and just getting a battering ram and busting it open and let's go in. Let's start something.
Yes. Hi, Maddie. Bienvenida. How are you?
Buenas tardes. Hi, Charles. Welcome.
How are you?
Good, Charles. So when you say,
I'm good. Thank you.
just so that you guys know, the Buckrow area is in Hampton, Virginia. So you'll see this with this show, Charles. We are on the air at the moment, so this is live. But throughout the week, our lovely producer Mark runs the show in different platforms, so it is seen in other states and other countries and stuff like that. So you just want to make sure that we give the specifics that we are in Hampton, Virginia. I want you to talk, Charles, a little bit about. I understand everything that you're doing, but tell me what inside of you, maybe when you were a teenager or a child or a young adult, gave you the passion because you're truly passionate about this type of work. So, what is it about Charles Cheek that fits the personality of what the marketplace does?
Yeah, I mean, it was a process. I mean, as you said, it was a developing process from, I guess it started in my teenage years when I used to actually go down to North Carolina during the summers. Our parents would ship us down there to our grandfather's house for the summer. Um, and it was what I call the country, but but it was modern stuff with him because he wasn't a farmer. He was a preacher. And so we got to experience a lot and to see a lot in terms of community and gathering and people coming together and for and helping one another and the whole concept of community and doing things together. So I saw a lot of that, and my grandfather taught us a lot of that also and showed us. I mean, just like I just always remember this time when I started driving as a teenager. I learned how to drive down there, and he was ready to trade in a car, and in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, that's gonna go to me. Here's my big chance. And so, but what he did, he gave the car to somebody in the community that didn't have a car, that always was asking for a ride on Saturdays to go to the market 10 miles away in his town. And so I'm like, why? And I asked him why. He said, because it's about giving. I can afford to get another car. Why should I trade this one in to get something else when I can help somebody else out? And so I was like, okay, well, it makes a little bit of sense, but I still wanted the car, But so anyway, my time doing that down there, I got involved in a lot of civil rights issues because they were doing a lot of voter registration, and these college students were coming in, and so I was going out with them and going into the community, walking miles and miles and miles, helping them with voter registration. And then on Sundays, he would have on Sunday afternoons, like 4 or 5 o'clock, everybody would come to his property, and there'd be like 200 or 300 people there in their chairs, and he had these stone benches, and they would have concerts, and people would be talking and bring food, and they just had a big community. And so I'm like, wow, this is the way to go. It's not all about this other stuff. So if we can build community, and I saw then how community would take care of itself. And so anyway, as I moved on in life and when I was in Maryland, really got involved a lot with that in terms of building community. In my position as a state, I had the whole state of Maryland in my position, and I went from the Eastern Shore to the mountains, just building community and resources so folks could network within themselves and help resolve their own problems. So it's just a transition. Each time you do something, you learn a little bit more and you see something different. And once it gets in your blood, you just can't stop it because people are hurting, but people and communities are hurting. And if we don't allow them to network within themselves and use the resources they have, then we're just killing them off. We're just dooming them to further failure because the resources all the resources are within the community. We just have to give them the opportunity to bring them up. It's just like cooking a stew and then, the stuff start boiling up and coming up to the top and start getting that good flavor and the fumes start going in the nose and stomach start, growling and stuff. So the same thing happens in the community. We got to let things percolate. We got to let it cook. We got to put all that stuff together in that pot and make this great big stew that we can feed everybody so that everybody can flourish.
Mm-hmm. Good, very, very good points. I'm going to ask one more question and then I'll let Maddie ask her question. But let's say that I'm going to give you a scenario and then I want you to tell me how you would be able to assist me, how the marketplace will be able to assist.
Sure.
So let's say that I'm a single mom going through some domestic abuse and I have 3 kids and I'm having housing issues in addition to the domestic violence. How would you be able to assist someone like that?
That's the easy one. I thought you were going to ask something difficult. That we initially do an assessment really with the individual to find out, just a whole host of information and to build relationships, because that's important. The first thing is to build a relationship. We don't want them to think like they call it, most agencies, all right, it's a checkoff list, got to fill in the box, asking all these questions. We want to start off, like, okay, well, like, what's going on? Tell me how you got there and, where you want to go and how do you want to get there? So, before we can get to the real issue, it might be 15 minutes later because the idea is to get people comfortable and build a relationship, because 9 times out of 10, people can solve their own problem if you build a trust and relationship there. But in that scenario, once that's all done, especially, we have a domestic violence partner there, so they can step in. That might be a referral source, and they have access to housing. So we can, because of that relationship within the marketplace, we can streamline the process. And that's happened many, many, many times. We don't have to go through so many hurdles, because if somebody's really hurting and they've been through all this trauma, the last thing they need is some more trauma from us, adding to it. So the idea is to become friends, to become that partner with that individual, and have that empathy that we can walk alongside. Because there's been many times, what you've given, I'm sure you're probably talking a daylight situation, but it's been times at night. Like 11 o'clock at night, I've gotten calls to go out, to help people. And instead of just sitting there, especially at nighttime, a domestic violence situation, and maybe they're sitting in a car somewhere in a parking lot or wherever, is to get up and go to them and be able to hold their hand. I have this phrase that I always use, that I said, we're available to sit with you in the dark, whatever that dark may be, 24/7. So, that's the most important thing, because people want to know that you care before you start doing anything for them. So that's how that situation would set itself up, and all the rest would fall in place with the other partners in the marketplace. Because I don't mind calling people 2 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock.
I know.
So the idea is we have to be available. You have to be available. And if you're not, then what good are you? You're just a 9 to 5. So we got plenty of those, lots of them.
That's true. Good. I love all that. I love all that information. Did you have a question, Maddie?
Awesome. I know I joined in a little bit after you kind of started and introduced yourself, but does the marketplace work with adjacent cities?
Absolutely.
Or what areas does it cover?
Yeah. Right now, this whole state of Virginia, whole Commonwealth of Virginia. And let me explain that a little bit. About, I think, a year or so ago, a little over a year, these gang investigators with the Virginia Department of Juvenile Justice came to the office and to talk, because they heard about what we were doing. And so their statement was, we've tried all these different programs for these youth, but none of them really work. They're not continuous. so to speak. And so they heard about what we were doing, and so their statement was, the church has to be the answer because nothing else is really working. And so based on what we have in terms of the marketplace and the resources and what they call a one-stop place, we just said, okay, we will work with these gang members and their families simultaneously, not one or the other. It has to be together. Because the idea is if you're working with a juvenile and you are progressing with that juvenile, but every day what's happening, you're sending that juvenile back to what? Brokenness. So we've got to heal there. All of it has to happen at the same time. Because as we have worked with these young people, what we've noticed is that a lot of their habits and things they do are germinating from lack of in the family, or because the family is pushing them to bring more in or something in that's missing. So we've got to work with the family in order to resolve that part of it, whatever that may be. And that description is broad, very broad at the moment. So we did really well with that. Lots of kids came out of gang life. They're working now. They're in jobs, and every once in a while I get called to go out breakfast and lunch, which I love because I don't believe nothing can happen without food. And so it's good to see that. And one of the things we do, we stick with a model that we have with the Work Life, which is a faith-based job development program, is that when we start working with somebody, we're family for life. It doesn't run for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. It's life. Because what happens? Stuff happens. And so we have to be available. I'll get back to that other part later, but based on what we did in terms of performance, the Virginia Department of Juvenile Justice initiated a memorandum of agreement with us to replicate what we do statewide. So we're traveling the state, engaging with different cities, different counties, whatever, mom and pop back rooms, and where 2 or 3 gather and recreating what we're doing here. We came up with the concept Empower Life because Empower Life is an ecosystem based on faith, justice, and community. And what we're trying to get back to with this whole concept is to build this massive network of volunteers statewide so that we can make those referrals instantly with folks. And at the same time too, is to create what we're all, well, some of us, y'all might be too young to realize it, but back when it was true community, when community took care of itself and its own. And so we can go back to that. What we did, what's happened over the years is that the church and community have given away their power or their power to take care of things within community to government and to agencies. So therefore, communities are broken. They're shattered. It's brokenness. I mean, you live next door to somebody 10 years, you really don't really know them except you see them go get in the car and go to work or cook some smelly food in the backyard or whatever it may be. But we want to get back to the concept that community starts taking care of community, because what they have now, and going back to the gang reference, we have all these folks there, and they're violence interrupters. And back during my time, the violence interrupter was the mama and daddy and the next door neighbor. So there was no titles to it. They were called neighbors. People looked after each other. So we've got to get back to that, where the violence interrupters and become that neighbor next door that was pull you up and call you out, before things happen or when they see things or different things are going on. So that's the basis for that. And the thing of it is, it's starting to germinate across the state, and it's starting to get real. People are starting to really see what's going on. And at the same time, it's making some of these agencies nervous and upset, because what they look at is we're taking something away from them, instead of looking at we can collaborate and work together. We're not taking anything away from you. I don't want you, if you're getting a grant, you keep getting a grant. Because my business is like when I was working with the homeless organization. My business is to put your organization out of business and get rid of homelessness. So we want to get rid of this strife that's occurring in the community. And once we build community, you just got to look for another job. I'm sorry, but I think it's more important to build community. So.
Yeah, I love the concept of what you were saying about that the answer is in the church, right? And one of the examples where the answer is in the church, because I've experienced it myself, is not you don't have to be a believer for the marketplace to help, right? You don't have to be a believer. We accept everyone that needs assistance, right? We accept anyone that wants to come and volunteer. We'll have those conversations. But what I want you guys to kind of get a concept of what that means is, for example, with the work life program, and you could talk a little bit more about it, Charles. But with the work life program, I was able to send some students. So I was there and I volunteered, and I kind of saw firsthand how the program works. And what happens is Charles in the marketplace has made connections with different churches, right? So they hold the classes in different churches. So now you have multiple churches providing their safe space for people to come and conduct their classes, and it rotates throughout the community. And so when you say that the answer is in the church, to me, that's one great example that you don't have to go and get a building and pay rent. You already have this space that's there. We can collaborate. There's more people spreading the news. It's kind of like having an event, and it's better for me to partner up with other people versus me just promoting my event. Now you have multiple people promoting the event, and more people will come. So I want you to talk a little bit about how did that come into play? How did it become an action of a thought it was just a thought?
Which one? Okay.
The church, the different churches, the work.
I got you. We were first, the city first approached us about coming into a city facility. We were located at a community center, Y.H. Thomas Community Center, when the city of Hampton Economic Development Work One program, job readiness program, was located there. And so they asked us to come in and do the classes. So we did. But as we were doing it, we realized a couple of things. We need to be in the community. We don't need to be stuck in a government building. All right. So the idea was, let's go into different communities, and to go into different communities, there are churches in every community. So we'll just network with the churches and anybody else. Because now it's gotten past churches. We're actually using nonprofit organizations too. So their spaces. So the idea is that we can impact different communities, and at the same time, it allows the church to network within the community itself, because they've got to bring the people in to the classes. So it becomes another tool that we're using to kind of connect community. And I mean, it's slow developing, because you've got a lot of those local churches, they don't even know what community engagement is. Community engagement them is open the church doors on Sundays and Wednesdays, and hope people come through it. It's not about getting to know the people. So our focus is getting to those communities across Hampton and Newport News, where we are now, and really engaging with the folks. Now we're coming up with another side of that with the next round of classes, and that is to actually get the students as a class assignment to go in the community themselves, and start developing community, doing projects, come up with a project and execute it within the community, to help bring people on board. Because we can use every tool that we have within the marketplace, whatever that may be, even the Hispanic Resource Center. All right, Viviana. And so Viviana comes in with the Tuesday pop-ups with PAA. So it's engaging a whole new set of community folks. At the same time, the beauty of it is that those seniors are there having a good time and eating good food. Again, food is the critical piece. And so they're doing that. At the same time, on the next floor is Viviana's summer camp. And then in another part on the same campus with another church that's there, they're doing another activity. So the idea, if you keep, the only way something stays alive if it keeps in motion. And so we got to keep this wheel greased. We got to keep things happening all the time, because when people in the community when they see something that's going on all the time, then they want to participate. They've got questions, and then that brings them in, and the opportunity opens up. Because right now, every nonprofit could use volunteers, every one of them. So if we don't keep engaging in the community, people are going to just keep sitting back, and they're not going to come in. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a gift. And we can use that talent and gift wherever it is. You don't need a college degree to facilitate a class within the work-life class. Everybody has some experience they can share with somebody. To give somebody the benefit of their experience so they can move on. And they can understand how they came out of it, which will benefit the next person. So over the years since we've been doing it, start off with Jobs for Life, Work Life, same concept basically. It's been like 300 students so far, and so you figure each student family is like anywhere from 2 to 5 people, depending on the family, mother, father, whatever. And so that's a lot of people that have been affected, and a lot of great stories have come out of it. I think it's like 98% are either employed or went to school to further their education. They're buying houses. You would never know that they were in a penitentiary. You never know that they were sex trafficked. You would never know a host of other things that happen in life. Because the idea is that if we give people the opportunity and we truly go to them with our hand out, but at the same time we have our heart in our hand, then we can transform communities. It's just massive, and it grows like a snowball. And the beauty of that is having these folks come back now and saying, I want to give back. So we're starting again the next class in September. We're actually going to have classes where the graduates actually come back and talk to people and tell them, don't give up. I got through it. You can get through it too. And this is how I did it. I slept in the car for all these days, but now I've got a house, So anyway, that's the short of it. The beauty of it is, I believe everybody can help somebody. That's my belief. I believe it. And you're not going to tell me otherwise.
I agree. I love how long has the marketplace been active?
2 years and 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't been a long time. The work-life classes were there before, just like your nonprofit and everything was there, existence in the community before. Everybody was doing something. And that's the beauty of it. And look at the partners that are coming on board. Like the newest one is the Hampton Commonwealth Attorney's Office, Victim Witness. Like people are like, what? Yeah, they want to get in the community because they realize too, this is where we need to be. And it's easy to set up an office somewhere, as you said, and pay rent. But it's even what the other beauty part of that is that with all these churches, and they've got lots of space, that they could bring all these nonprofits in and collaborate, and we can have that whole thing. Like I described to the folks at the state, I'm building a spider web, and we're going to trap everything that comes into that web, and they're going to be part of that web, and that web's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, so that whatever comes in, whatever individual needs help is there, and they're stuck in that web, and they've got it. We can just boom, 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 boom. And then the web just keeps building bigger and bigger and bigger as we go statewide.
I was going to
Did you have a
ask
question?
Charles, you keep talking about the web getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Has there been any particular situation that you guys have been unable to provide help, or that has made difficult to provide help? And were you able to?
Yeah, I mean, there have been some difficult situations. I mean, there was one. I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Um, this young girl was in high school at a local high school, and she was going to graduate, and she was staying with her boyfriend and mother, and mother leaves the house. They have a little get together, and next thing a baby's coming along, and so she was pregnant, and the school system couldn't do anything, and they didn't know what to do. I mean, just imagine that. So this young lady, bright young lady, had a scholarship to a college, to a full 4-year ride to a college, but they didn't know what to do. So somehow, through her prenatal care at one of the local hospitals, they reached out to us, and so we stepped in, and we were able to, because of one of the marketplace partners, we got that young lady to them and got her housed. The idea was get her stabilized so we could, one, she could graduate. Two, we would have a plan so she could go to college still and have childcare wrap around at the same time. And so all those pieces started coming together. I mean, I think that was the most complicated one we had. There was some other things involved with that, but I mean, like her father came, I think he came from Japan or somewhere, to the graduation, gave her $100 and say, "Have a nice life." So we had to deal with all that stuff. And mother was who knows where. But I can say today she's in her second year of college and doing well. And actually, the young man is with her, and he's in college too. And we're in communication with them, because one of the things we tell everybody, we're your family for life. So the communication doesn't stop. It's not a file you place it in the file cabinet and that's it. And so, I mean, there have been some other difficult ones. I mean, especially with the gang stuff. But I don't believe nothing is too difficult that it can't be handled if we just get past it. Like I tell people say, "Well, you think outside the box." I say, "I'll never get in the box, so I have to think outside of it." So that's where we got to frame ourselves and stop getting that colloquialism, and because an open mind can only be open when it's in the atmosphere, so, and get creative with it. I mean, because like, as I said before, they're a resource. If I don't know what the answer is, I can sure call Viviana, and she might ask me some question. I'll be feeling real dumb and stupid because I didn't think of it myself. And I do the same thing with the other folks in the marketplace. And so I mean, we got to learn how to collaborate and work with one another. I mean, I'm not trying to steal anything from you. I don't need another anything. I got enough I need to take care of for myself. And the other part, what we're trying to do now with the whole ecosystem is build this system of housing units. I mean, and the reason I came up with that, because doing our work life class several years ago, we had a young lady who had been trafficked and domestic violence and so forth. And when she graduated, there were some other issues, and so we needed a safe place for her. I had an extra bedroom, and bam, I said, "Come on in." And she had a little 2-year-old boy, and I don't like little kids, but I brought him in anyway. So they stayed with me for 7 months. Now she's this is over several years, 3 years now. Now she's a senior case manager for a housing program, and she's giving back constantly. The cycle just keeps going and on and on and on. And so that's the idea of community and building that whole ecosystem.
What have you, so I see, well, before I ask my question, I just want to acknowledge Miluska Segara said blessings, Charles Cheek. Carlos Sutachan is watching us from, he's either in Colombia or Venezuela, one of the two. And Ikauri Jackson, Nikauri Jackson is the waterman's mom. And the little sister Amaya, they're watching us. And Lily, of course, she doesn't miss a show. And Angelica and whoever else is watching us that I can't see right away. But a question that I had for you, Charles, is I see the marketplace as a, like a puzzle piece, right? So it's different pieces, and eventually the puzzle is going to be done, or maybe there's always going to be one piece, right? It's never going to be completely done. What are some needs that you currently have at the marketplace? Is there some missing pieces right now?
Well, I never know what the missing piece is until somebody walks in and or somebody poses a question or a need. Yeah, but I think the missing pieces are just because I have this thing in my head. I'm a bad person for not putting stuff down, so everybody else can see it. It's always up here, and I think one of the dreams is to start a community journalism cohort, a group of community members, teach folks how to do their own, write their own newsletter, their own news articles, and interview each other in the community. Like Miss Jane down the street has the best apple pie. How does she make it? That kind of stuff. And also just do those human interest kind of things, the things that we just got away from. And so we want to create that on two levels. One with the young people, that they can start generating their own stories and about community, and talk about the things in the community, good, bad, or indifferent. And so that's trying to find some folks that will step in and take that and run with it. There are some people who have talked to me about it in the community, but being one person, that's why I say it's important that we bring volunteers on. I can teach you how to do it, and you can run with it yourself. But that's what we want to do. And we just talked to a young man that has a program that's near us, a radio program, and they're going to set up something. Hopefully, we want to do it in the marketplace, but if not, we'll use some other site. But still, it's all attached to the marketplace, because the marketplace doesn't have to be physically where we are. Because right now it's spreading out to some other places. There's some other churches because we don't have the space now, I just make a phone call and say, look, bam. And so they're inviting the folks in. So that's one of the things, because I think the community needs to be able to network or communicate within itself. If we keep allowing traditional news and radio programs and newspapers to dictate what comes out of the community, then it's all going to be one way, their way. Each community is unique into itself, and each community can carry its own water. We just need to give them the mechanism to do that, to develop, and to be able to generate that news within the community. Because especially with nowadays, with everything's done online, that should be easy to do. And we could really create this thing and then do the paper thing too, and it would get the young people thing, something to do every month. They can go deliver these 1 or 2 page whatever to people in the neighborhood who, elderly folks. And it allows communication to keep going and going and growing. And then from that, we can do more more gatherings, like during the day when the kids are in school and the moms need something to do. We can bring them in, just develop conversation and start working on needs and identifying other things, and then they can participate in the process. And this whole thing starts growing spider web starts just growing and growing and growing, different sections. You look at a spider web, well, each one of those sections in there becomes a different city, so to speak, a different idea, a different generator of something that can happen within a community, can happen within the web. Because as we build this web, each one is going to support that web. So anyway, that's kind of the thing, is what can we do next to bring the community in and be available for them. and so that they can start some things. I mean, they may want to start a cooking club. I don't know. I mean, like, but anything to get them interest, because a lot of times as I ride my bicycle down the street, and Viviana drove me down the street in her Rolls Royce, I can stop and talk to the people, and she got to keep going because traffic behind her. So we've got to become more communal, and get into the community. The day I was out riding my bicycle early this morning, and there were some people out, and on their porches, and I stopped and just went up there and sat on this lady's porch. She looked at me like I was crazy, but as I engaged more in the conversation, she was like, "Do you want to come in and have some tea?" I'm like, but see, until we start doing that and stop being so afraid of people, because people want to talk, they really want to engage with you, but we're so busy and we're so afraid because it's like, I don't know what to say to them. Well, you know what? What did you say to that girl when you were trying to get a date with her? I bet you came up with something then. It may have took you a week to do it, but at least you came up with it. And so, so we've got to get out of our comfort zone. And as I said again, I mean, extend the hand, but extend it with your heart. But that's where it is. If people feel that, they know it's genuine, and they'll open up. They'll start talking. They'll start doing a whole lot of other things. That's why, I tell folks, I need to go on a diet, but the diet I need to go on is not from people. It's from all the food they keep feeding me, because everywhere I go, people want to give me food. So long answer to a short question. But
yeah, I love it. I love everything that you're doing. My question is, one day you won't be here with us. So what is your vision for the marketplace to continue?
That's why we're building this network, because I'm a legacy person. You got to hand it off. I'm not going to be there forever as much as I want to be, but I can't be. And I believe everybody is catching a different portion of the vision. And one day, we all sit down, everybody say, okay, this is how it's going to go forward. And all I'm going to do is walk away and get a plane ticket to the Bahamas and see y'all later.
That's awesome. So that's your retirement plan, to go to the Bahamas?
No, I went there too much before when I was younger. No, actually, I got a plan. We have some land in North Carolina, and I'm planning on building me a cabin, in the woods there and by the stream, and get me two Doberman pinchers and 3 shotguns, and just sit out there for the rest of my life. So, just kidding.
You still gonna ride your bike?
Absolutely. When I die, y'all gonna say, we must have been on a bicycle on the side of the road. I mean, because I want to get there. It's kind of going back to where I spent the summers, and I'm saying I just go back there and chill out and do my thing and just finish writing these 2 books that I better finish sometime in the near future. So.
What is I know in the marketplace you work with an IT person with Douglas. He was on the show, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about his function there with the marketplace.
Well, Damien. I mean, in fact, you helped bring him in. Damien was setting up this computer lab and doing all this instruction, and supposed to be teaching these kids and getting these certifications so they can get great jobs and move on, especially when they get into college. I mean, because it's important now with all this stuff. Technology is changing so fast, and with Chat GBT and AI and so forth and so on. If you're not there, you're on the outs. And so getting folks interested in that, and for folks to not see it as some sort of evil or something that's so strange that they can't deal with it. I think that's important right now, as he's setting up these classes, to be able to tell people it's okay. Come on, just sit down. That person, nobody in that class knows any more than you do. We all start at the same level. So we've got to work the community a little more to get folks in there, and I believe we can get them in there. We got to get past that initial fear and show them how this can work. Especially if we want to set up that community journalism. Chat GBT and AI would be it's going to be key. And so then the other part, Damien has become like the electronic computer guru for the campus for KUF, for the marketplace. I mean, he's not only helped set up some things for us, but the other churches on campus, he's helped them equip their offices. I mean, so, and then we have another guy who's actually turning old desktop computers into Chromebooks, so we can give them away to people. I think we got about 6 right now we can give away to folks that need them. And so that whole interconnection there, especially with him, I think it can be expanded out a lot more, but I think there's a process. My thing of it is, when I look at something, I have to remember all the time, there's a time and a place for execution. And it may not be in my time. I could be just planting the seed, and later on it start blossoming and trees start growing. So I'm not, as much as I want to push it, I got to wait because the people are not ready. And so we've got to do some other things to get the people ready for it. So.
Very true. Very, very, very true. So you have other, I think it's Creative Expressions Art Studio.
Yeah.
What's their role in the marketplace?
Well, yeah. Shonda is with that Creative Expressions is creating all this space for people to express themselves through art and prose and creativity, and also to address trauma through art. And so there's a lot of that's happening and going on, and it's slowly catching on too. And I think one of the recent activities was they were creating this prayer board, and where people were taking and putting those together. And in fact, I put one up in one of my offices, and each day I go in there and actually write a prayer and put it in an envelope. Whatever's on my heart, was in my mind. Mine could be, I wish Viviana would get me a fish sandwich. But anyway.
Another one?
But anyway, it's doing all that creativity within people, because when people, I've seen people sit down at the table and just come up with so much expressive stuff through art, and just the simplicity. I mean, cutting out words in a magazine and pasting them on something, and doing sayings and using different colors to blend together. And you see how when you look at it, oh, that's their personality. You can really see it. You can, and they're able to take that and talk about it. Because I was in one session, and these 2 people, you couldn't shut them up. I mean, it was like, so I excused myself to go somewhere, but they just found themselves. And I think we did the same thing with the pop-up thing. We did an art thing with them too, and it was a lot of expression there also. I think, and that's one of the simple things. If you remember in school, we all like to take those crayons and different medias and create things and do things with them. And when you look at it, the colors, and when we really examine, those colors really are expressions of our soul, of ourselves. And so, so paying attention to that leads to something else. And that's what's happening in some of those classes, sessions. It's leading to something totally else, something totally different than what I thought it was going to be. And people are becoming more engaged in other arenas and creating. I mean, they've come up with ideas about doing some things, and even at the marketplace. I mean, and I'm just looking forward to it continuing and growing, because I think the more we have these little small group sessions, bring people together, it'll start planting those seeds, and things will start growing and growing and growing and growing. I don't know what direction it's going in. In fact, I don't care, as long as is doing what it's proposed to do, and that's bring together community and be part of the ecosystem. Yeah.
Yep, and I want to mention one more, Gordon Wellness.
Yeah.
What is their role?
Yeah, for people like me who can't keep it all together, but they're a mental health agency, a counseling agency. They were more engaged than anybody else initially. There were a lot of hurting people within the. I'm not going to say the churches that were there because they might narrow it down too much, but within the community there, and we were able to solve some early problems that no one else could address. Using Gordon Wellness. I mean, they were able to get through some deep-rooted stuff. We were able to transition some people out of some pretty nasty situations that were happening in their lives in the community. And now just to see these people walking around, and they're so thankful, and they have been dealing with these situations for years, but nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew how to handle it. Because, going to somebody and telling them that, yeah, man, you need help. You need to check in with it, whatever. Wasn't the way to do it. And the only way we were able to do it was to gain their trust first. Let them know we're your friend. Once they trusted us, then we transitioned into the mental health part of it and addressing those deep hurts and rooted causes that were ingrained in them from some time before. And there was some pretty nasty situations. Even the police couldn't handle, and we were able to work through it because of that.
Very good. That's the last one that I think I wanted to mention because there's some stuff that I didn't know. What their role is within the marketplace, and I just think it's great collaboration.
The good thing about them is we want to remember everybody's there purposefully and for a reason. And Gordon Wellness was one because if people didn't have insurance, they would still see them. They would still, give them whatever they needed, even if it was medication. They would find a way of doing it. So every partner or ministry that's in the marketplace is unique because they have something nobody else has, and that's why they're there. I mean, there are other agencies that can do what everybody there is doing, but each one of the individuals that are there or agencies that are there are unique into themselves, and they have something nobody else does. And what I recognize in each one of them is the heart part, not the transactional stuff, the heart. And that's what's going to build the marketplace. That's what's going to build the ecosystem, the community, the web, the spider web. Because it's not going to be a whole bunch of transactional stuff, because at the end of the day, you go home at 5 o'clock and everything else is gone.
Mm-hmm. Now I know I am stuck.
Yep, there you go.
Like I can't move. It's like crazy glued. Okay. I got revelation today. So our time is almost up, but I wanted Maddie to ask her last question before we close out.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the unmute button and I couldn't unmute myself. So before we go, I just want to say thank you, Charles, for the information. Thank you for the great work that you're doing in the community, and it's much needed work. And I hope that you get to retire in the Bahamas or enjoy yourself over there. I was gonna ask. We talked about kind of how you are building the web, and I think Viviana asked if there is a gap, something that's missing. But how can people that are watching us, especially right now, and people in the community, how can we join and help? How can we, like you said before, everybody has a talent and everybody can help somebody. How can people volunteer or reach out to you to be a part of your web?
Yeah, well, I'm sure Viviana gives some information on how to do that, but I'm available 24/7. Everybody says, Charles, why don't you get a separate phone number for the marketplace? No, because I don't mind people calling my personal number. what difference does it make? Why I'm not creating another bill for somebody, just a voicemail. Call, reach out, text, email, come by. And I just love it when people come by so we can sit down and talk. We can show you what's going on. You can get the vision. You can catch hold of. Then the other part of that is, you may not be in the Hampton Roads area, in this area. Wherever you are, you can create the same thing. Just start it on a smaller scale, and just connecting community. Build an ecosystem. That whole thing about building that thing that's where everybody's collaborating and everybody's working together for a common goal. And that's to give people life, an abundant life, to be healthy, to have opportunity to flourish. And everybody's going to flourish. They're different levels. Everybody's not going to come along the same time. But that's okay. And that's the beauty. Everybody doesn't travel down the highway at the same speed either. So, we've got to understand that it takes more to put that system together. Everybody's not going to travel at the same speed, but we're all going to get to the destination one day, somehow. But we've got to support each other in order to get there. And so don't just look at the marketplace. Look at where you are and how we can connect. How can we collaborate? If you want to start it there, and maybe you have no concept on how to do it, or you're kind of puzzled, you need some encouragement, call us up. That's what we're here for, to collaborate, connect, and collaborate.
And you would be willing to consult if somebody gets in contact with us, so this could be duplicated?
Yeah, as long as you got food,
That's easy.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I want to thank you for your time, Charles. It has been amazing. I'm sure we can bring you back on and just talk about some other things that we didn't get to discuss today. But we wanted to go ahead and get started with Maddie's poem, and then we'll talk again before she's done as well. But go ahead, Maddie. We're ready to get goosebumps.
No. Oh God, don't put that pressure on me. No, I was gonna go fun today and not go, too deep. I just wanted to say also that I am grateful, Charles, that you have incorporated the arts, because for me personally, spoken word has saved my life. Is my way of therapy, is my way of working through my trauma, through my happiness, through my sadness. And I am just so grateful that I found spoken word, and that I've made this a big part of my life. So I'm going to share a poem. This is a little fun poem after Atlas Nixon's When My Shoes Were Clean. Atlas LaCroix Nixon is his government name, and his poet name is Atlas, and he is the poet laureate of the city of Williamsburg. He's the first poet laureate of the city of Williamsburg, and he is my very good friend, so shout out to him. So this poem basically based on he did it like based on his shoes, but talking about how don't judge me unless you have walked in my shoes. And for those that know me, it's gonna make sense because I'm always wearing high heels. So he was talking about his sneakers and his boots. I'm always wearing high heels. So this is after after Atlas, When My Shoes Were Clean. Have you ever tried walking with heels through the mud? When I learned to walk for the first time, I learned to stand on my own two flat feet. Finding my own support, I had to learn to build my own bridge to get me from point A to point B. At an early age, life showed me that a path may not always have a straight line. There are 25 letters in the alphabet, different outcomes depending on where you decide to start. In the Spanish alphabet, it will be more like 26, explaining why I be a little extra sometimes. I learned to walk with a twang, licking the tears that kiss my lips, accent on the hips. My shoes became a simile of where I knew I could be at the top, so I learned to walk in high heels. A balancing act I conquered early on, navigating through a world that would not always accept who I be. The courage in this curls, the loudness in my skin, learning some people may be like Steve, Madden, all they want. With my Under Armour, I get to tiptoe through life's grenades in red bottoms until I am ready to detonate with a bang, turning this newfound balance into my signature walk. Puma-like, I make it look easy, I know. I come from struggle and hope where it was easier for mama to walk barefoot rather than to keep her shoes on. But have you ever tried walking with heels through the mud? My shoes may be pretty, Gucci, and always look clean, but you don't get to judge my struggle until you have walked a mile in my heels.
Oh, I love that one, Maddie. Have you
Thank
ever
you.
walked on mud with your heels? You have. I think we all have, right? With struggles of life, but we make it through. So, it's really in line with the marketplace because sometimes we think we're in this place and it's a hard place. Sometimes again, I like to use domestic violence because it happens so often and it's so untold by so many women. Sometimes I'm driving, and men too, but sometimes I'm driving down the street and I'm thinking like, wow, like I'm passing this house and who knows what's going on inside that house. And there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of abuse taking place, and sometimes we may not feel comfortable coming to the people that love us the most, but there are places like the marketplace. And truly, when Charles says that they can call him at any time, that is correct. He will always answer the phone. I don't think he sleeps, and when he sleeps, he's awake. But I have heard him, and everybody that works with him, we all kind of take that pledge that we're available for people at any time. So it's just nice to be able to have this type of resource available here in this little town of Hampton. However, it is truly available in other areas because it can happen at any time. We can get a phone call from somebody in California, but Charles will find a way to have somebody in California that can assist. So that's what the whole objective is of the marketplace, is for it not to be inside of this box. As Charles said, we're not in the box, we're always outside of the box. So I think it's amazing work that you're doing, Charles, with the marketplace, and we're looking forward to all the different duplicates of the marketplace everywhere. So thank you for your time today. Thank you, Mark. This is our Mark. Mark, our producer.
Yep. And before Charles disappears, I was trying to get him because I saw Maddie wrote it down there. How can we reach Charles? And all along those lines, because definitely that is a needed service, and definitely even some friends of mine in Southside Virginia might be interested as well. So if you can let us know how you can be reached, Charles, either by telephone or email, or if the organization has a website, because you did say that it is all over the state of Virginia, and who knows, you might even reach into south side of, or north side of North Carolina and some of the other places as well. But definitely if you can tell folks how you can be reached, because I did see that note from Maddie.
Yeah, I just put the phone number up there. So, I mean, that would be the best way. I tell people all the time, text me. Don't call me first because I may think you're a bill collector because I don't know your number. So, text
So
me.
if it's okay with you, I'll just recite that number and everything like that. So if you're
That's
interested,
fine.
you can call it Charles at 757-602-9196. That number again is 757-602-9196. So definitely reach out to Charles and this wonderful organization. Like I said, I know we're doing some similar kind of stuff in Durham. As a matter of fact, I just saw and I put that in the chat, then I geared to get us on out of here, where they had a program where a lot of the ex-cons were trying to make sure that the kids were not going down that path and everything like that. The program was disbanded, but they're now trying to bring it back. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a vote among the city leaders in October, where they're going to try to bring back some of these folks that went down the wrong path and are trying to make sure that other kids don't make that same mistake, and all along those lines. So it seems like it's got support of both our mayor here in Durham, North Carolina, as well as the mayor pro tem. So it hopefully will get past, because I do know some friends of mine that were involved in making wrong steps in their life, but then they are now helping other people make the right steps in their life, and all along those lines.
Perfect.
Yep. And on that note, we're going to go out with I think it will go out with your tutoring company as well as with the one that Viviana had done a while back. So we'll play both of those and get on out of here. But it's been fun. Maddie, who knows? I might see you on Saturday if you decide to come down to the Papers Then poetry competition, since that's the next one that is happening at the Heritage Center. But who knows if you'll make it all down or not. But right now, we're here to get on out of here.
Thank you. Have a great week.
You say.
Whether you're a seasoned designer, dabbler, or just starting out, this course is for you.
Are just so impressed with them. Like I said, we've been with them for years. I will recommend and refer anyone to them. We stand by A+ academics. They're the best.
A+ tutorial really did help me with all my grades. They all went up when I came to this place. And I would say I recommend this school to everyone.
So it's a really good environment to be in, especially for me because it makes me look up to my parents.
If you have students that need academic help, A+ Academics is the place to be. A+ Academics, what a great place to go for academics.
It's just a really great place to learn.